For those of you at home, if I may, journalists are not the enemies of the people. It's quite the opposite. Our profession is enshrined in the Constitution, and the Fourth Estate holds the essential job of being your eyes and often ears, and when appropriate, your voice. It's a cornerstone of our republic. Over 22 years at this network, it has been my experience that the journalists of Fox News and Fox Business and those of our colleagues at competitors at CNN and MSNBC, NBC, ABC, and CBS, Bloomberg and PBS, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of them operate in the public interest. We work to discern what is truth, then to present it to you in context and with perspective. And as your representatives in the people's halls, report to you without fear or favor, while striving to hold those in power to the same standards. This is the foundation of what we do. It's our reason for being, our purpose. Please know this. I acknowledge many thousands of your complaints and protestations, and in doing so, I offer this. Never have I personally misrepresented the truth to you. Our reports are checked, rechecked, and approved at the editorial management level of this network. And in the event I make a mistake, I tell you and correct it in a timely and appropriate manner. As an aside, when the president attacks journalists, we question his motivation and try to discover the underlying reason. For historically, those who regularly and as a matter of pattern attack the messenger, who degrade and belittle the purveyors of truth, and work to diminish the free press, often find the facts displeasing and endeavor to keep you from knowing them. We are on guard.
All right, the Clinton News Network, which is constantly competing with NBC News to be the most anti-Trump news outlet in the country, is under fire yet again, once again pushing fake news. Now, 3 employees supposedly resigned last night after the network had to retract a completely false story about a Trump ally, friend of mine, Anthony Scaramucci, claiming that he was being investigated for colluding with the Russians through dealings with a Russian investment fund. Now, President Trump rightly slammed CNN once again and the rest of the Destroy Trump media on Twitter today, writing, quote, "Fake news, CNN is looking at big management changes now that they got caught falsely pushing their phony Russia stories, and ratings are way down." The president continued. So they caught fake news, CNN cold, but what about NBC, CBS, ABC? What about the failing New York Times and Washington Post? They're all fake news. Now, CNN is claiming that the only reason this hit piece article was published was because, quote, standard editorial processes were not followed. Now, CNN may want to review those so-called editorial process that they have, because they've been forced to now retract several other fake news stories, in other words, lies to the American people, in just the past month alone. For example, on June 16th, CNN, well, they had to delete a tweet and issue a correction for claiming that only Democrats were praying before the congressional baseball game. I was there. Not true. And just before, one day before that, CNN's senior White House correspondent, the very angry Jim Acosta, tweeted and then had to remove fake news about President Trump not visiting Congressman Steve Scalise in the hospital. Of course, that's not all. Earlier this month, before the former FBI director James Comey's congressional testimony, well, CNN had to again change a story that falsely stated that Comey would contradict President Trump's statements about not being under investigation by the FBI. Now, all that appears to just be the beginning of the network's problems, because today, James
officials disinvited a credentialed reporter from covering an open press presidential event. The fallout and what it means for freedom of the press. But first, a homemade bomb has gone off after stopping a credentialed correspondent from attending an open press event with President Trump. The press secretary, Sarah Sanders, says the reporter shouted questions and refused to leave despite repeatedly being asked. Here's what happened.
Did Michael Cohen betray you, Mr. President?
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, did Michael Cohen betray you?
Thank you very much. Leaning towards tariffs on everybody. Thank you, everybody.
Mr. President, are you worried about what Michael Cohen is going to say to prosecutors?
Thank you, Kayla. Let's keep going.
Are you worried about what is on the other tapes, Mr. President?
Thank you all. Let's keep going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
Why has Vladimir Putin not accepted your invitation?
Keep going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody. Let's go. Come on, guys. Thank you very much.
We're done. Let's go. Why is Vladimir Putin not accepting your invitation, Mr. President?
That's right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody.
The reporter you heard was Caitlin Collins, White House reporter for CNN. She was the pool reporter at the time, meaning on that day in that setting, she represented all of the television networks, including this one. A few hours later, she said White House officials told her the questions were inappropriate and that she was not allowed to attend the president's joint news conference coming up with the European Commission president in the Rose Garden. The president of this network, Jay Wallace, put out a statement in support of Collins and journalism, quoting, "We stand in strong solidarity with CNN for the right to full access for our journalists as part of a free and unfettered press." The president of the White House Correspondents Association also issued a statement. It reads in part, "We strongly condemn the White House's misguided and inappropriate decision today to bar one of our members from an open press event after she asked questions they did not like. This type of retaliation is wholly inappropriate, wrong-headed, and weak. It cannot stand." This morning, reporters tried to get a response from Bill Shine. He's the White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications. Bill Shine, full disclosure, is my personal friend. He was a producer, then executive, then senior executive at this network, and in that capacity, he was my boss. Shine took issue with people saying the White House banned Collins.
Could you ask her if we ever use the word ban? I've seen it on lower thirds.
What word would you use, Bill? What word would you use?
When you ask her if we ever use the word ban, then I will answer that question.
You prohibited her? What's the word you would use?
You ask her, focus now. You ask her if we ever use the word ban.
Focusing, this is a difference without a distinction. Collins reports Shine and the press secretary Sarah Sanders disinvited her from a Rose Garden event. Kellyanne Conway, counselor to the president, whom we don't often quote here, said the whole thing shows the media needs to change its approach.
That incident aside, I'm just speaking more broadly, the civility that you all call for sometimes when you're in your broadcast, I think it should start here at the White House.
All right, so the left-wing mainstream media's contempt for this president has now reached a boiling point and, frankly, a point of unhinged insanity. This is especially true for fake news CNN. Now, for days, the Clinton News Network, they have been completely and utterly obsessed with porn star Stormy Daniels and her salacious claims that she had a brief affair, a one-time encounter with Donald Trump some 12 or 13 years ago. You don't believe me? Take a look for yourself.
Detailing on national television an intimate relationship with Donald Trump and the effort to conceal it. Adult film actress Stormy Daniels.
The White House briefing expected to begin any moment now. They will certainly face questions about Stormy Daniels.
The Stormy saga takes a dramatic turn as the porn star speaks out on her alleged affair with citizen Trump.
Stormy Daniels' lawyer. We haven't heard from him about the Stormy Daniels affair.
Adult film star Stormy Daniels breaking her silence about her alleged affair with President Trump.
We're talking, I think, understandably and appropriately about the most serious legal allegations that Stormy Daniels made.
Stormy Daniels,
I know you've heard a ton about that, and we have to see where that case goes and what this interview is about.
Is that possible to come up in the Stormy Daniels lawsuit? Will she be able to say, hey, look, this lawyer is involved in a whole bunch of different things here?
This could be the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Stormy Daniels is causing stormy weather.
Porn star Stormy Daniels claims President Trump broke the law, had her bullied.
Does Stormy Daniels have the president's number? It sure seems that way.
President Trump might have met his match with Stormy Daniels.
how is Stormy weathering this?
Stormy speaks.
We're hearing quite a bit from Stormy Daniels.
Stormy, in her own words, isn't going anywhere.
Stormy Daniels has a good lawyer. The porn star Stormy Daniels was telling the truth.
Stormy Daniels is on a tear.
Quick preview of Stormy Daniels' interview this Sunday.
Breaking news that Stormy Daniels.
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 The reason he can't engage with Stormy Daniels is because she's got his number.
Now, of course, the whole network, CNN, isn't just focusing in on Stormy Daniels. Well, the network is also giving ample airtime to the claims that are also made by a former Playboy playmate, Karen McDougal, capped with a particularly frankly, creepy interview with Anderson Cooper on Thursday. Listen to these questions, and we got a lot more coming.
Would he call you?
He would call me, I would call him, vice versa.
So you had his phone number. When he called, did his number show up on the phone? Were you attracted to him? So the sex was consensual. Did he actually try to hand you money? Did he bring up his wife? Would he talk about his child, his son? Were you in love with him?
It was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And do you think he was in love with you? Did Donald Trump ever say to you that he loved you? Did he have any nicknames for you? What did you think of the apartment? And he showed you around the apartment. How did you feel being in his apartment? Did he ever compare you to any of his kids? Did he ever use protection?
Now, meanwhile, last night on 60 Minutes, Anderson Cooper sat down for as much.
For those of you at home, if I may, journalists are not the enemies of the people. It's quite the opposite. Our profession is enshrined in the Constitution, and the Fourth Estate holds the essential job of being your eyes and often ears, and when appropriate, your voice. It's a cornerstone of our republic. Over 22 years at this network, it has been my experience that the journalists of Fox News and Fox Business, and those of our colleagues at competitors at CNN and MSNBC, NBC, ABC, and CBS, Bloomberg and PBS, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Post, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of them operate in the public interest. We work to discern what is truth, then to present it to you in context and with perspective. And as your representatives in the people's halls, report to you without fear or favor, while striving to hold those in power to the same standards. This is the foundation of what we do. It's our reason for being, our purpose. Please know this. I acknowledge many thousands of your complaints and protestations, and in doing so, I offer this. Never have I personally misrepresented the truth to you. Our reports are checked, rechecked, and approved at the editorial management level of this network. And in the event I make a mistake, I tell you and correct it in a timely and appropriate manner. As an aside, when the president attacks journalists, we question his motivation and try to discover the underlying reason. For historically, those who regularly and as a matter of pattern attack the messenger, who degrade and belittle the purveyors of truth, and work to diminish the free press, often find the facts displeasing and endeavor to keep you from knowing them. We are on guard